free world.
Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline, tape up and shape up. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the...
Welcome to Hail to the Culture. We are back. It is your boy Rome. I'm here with my man Bryce.
What up, what up?
And we are ready to break down this free agency talk, man. We had a big, huge move. Landon Collins, as you all know, is a member of the Washington Redskins. Bryce, what were your initial thoughts when the move was initially made?
Oh, man, I'm going to be honest. I was hyped, man. Landon Collins, to me, I mean, I've seen a lot of pundits, kind of, going at us for the move and saying it was a bad move. But to me, Landon Collins is one of the best safeties in the league, top 5. And whenever you get a talent like that, I mean, it changes the dynamic of your defense. How long have we wanted a physical safety that can come up and make all the tackles? He's got enough range, and people, they're saying he's not a free safety. He's not a safety with range. He's not worth what we paid him. But in my opinion, he's worth every penny, especially because of the attitude he's going to bring to the defense. How about you, man? What were your initial reactions?
Man, I was hyped, and it was perfect. It was what we all wanted, and I think a lot of people were murky because of the money, the $84 million and all that. But I think once the guarantees came out, and once everyone saw how the contract was broken down, that took that away. So I mean, everything about the deal was beautiful, man. And I can't wait to have him, like you were saying, on the field. He can do just about any and everything. A lot of people tried to hit him with he's just a box safety. Well, in my opinion, he is the best box safety in football, and he can play a little bit of free, too, at a very high level, as we've all seen. So, I mean, as long as he gets back healthy, I think that he's going to solidify this defense. But a deeper question I have for you is, what do you think that means for the overall defense with Landon Collins' arrival? Do you think that that's going to catapult us to the top 10, top 5 defense that we were seeing flashes of last season?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll put it like this, man. We've been a safety away for years. Rome, me and you can both go through the gauntlet of safeties from Madu Williams to O.J. Atagwe to, oh, man, I don't even want to get into this list. It's going to start upsetting me. But we've been searching for a safety for years, and it felt like we kind of found one last year. I mean, DJ Swearinger was on top of his game, and you could see what that did for the defense. Now, let me be clear. DJ Swearinger is nowhere near Landon Collins. So if DJ Swearinger was able to elevate the defense to what he did, I can only imagine what a presence like Landon would do. Now, I think still the biggest key for the defense, it won't just be Landon Collins. It'll come down to the health of especially the defensive line, and it'll come down to, pass rushing, if we can get that pass rush. But with Landon Collins, man, he definitely brings a certain attitude, and I like the type of leadership he brings as well, man. It's something we've been missing. It's something we had in a way we had it with DJ, but with Landon, he's like DJ 3.0, man. You know what I mean? So I think it's good for the defense. It should be great for the defense.
Yeah, I think he's going to bring a level of consistency that DJ was missing. DJ had flashes of all-pro play, but if Collins is healthy, I think he's going to have that consistently, especially considering that he's back in the nation's capital, or whether he's in the nation's capital. We have this whole controversy going on right now with should he wear his idol's number, Sean Taylor, number 21. What are you thinking about that, man? I know we had put that out before he even came to D.C. on our Twitter page. If he did come to D.C., how would we feel about wearing 21? So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, we were definitely ahead of the curve with that, man. We saw that one coming. But nah, man, I gotta be honest, man. Sean Taylor holds a special place in my heart as a Redskins fan. I can still remember the day. I was in high school when he passed. I can remember the day it happened, and everyone being in class just being like not even believing it. You know what I mean? Like, I just remember it so vividly, and I remember what he meant to Redskins football team. I remember what type of player he was, what type of attitude he brought to the team, and man, to me that number should be retired. It shouldn't have to be a question, and that's the most disappointing part about the Redskins. this shouldn't have to be a question, because if the number was retired, we wouldn't even be up for debate. This wouldn't be anything for debate. It would just be it would be moot point. But because of the way we carry our organization, it makes a controversy, and that's unfortunate. But I'm definitely on the side of him not wearing Sean Taylor's number, because I feel like it should be retired, and I feel like no other Redskins should ever wear that number.
Yeah, man. I've thought a lot about it, and I agree, man. And I would say, what better time than now? So, I mean, like, anyone who's listening to this podcast, I mean, like, I think we could all agree as Redskins fans, like, what better time than now to retire his jersey? I mean, damn near every safety, like you said, we could go through a gauntlet of safety that's come here. Damn near everyone has said that they've looked up to Sean Taylor. You know what I mean? Like, it's not fair to the guys coming in that have looked up to Sean Taylor, a lot of these guys are our age, and like you say, they can probably vividly remember the day that it happened in high school as you and I can. So, I mean, it's really an unfair pressure to everyone to even have to deal with that question of, oh, do you think you'll wear Sean's number? And everyone always ends up wearing 36 anyway to honor him. So, I absolutely agree the number should be retired. I don't think it's fair to the guys that are even, you know what I mean? Like, let's say he does wear 21. How's he what happens when he doesn't make a play? You know what I mean? Like, it's way too much pressure. It should be retired. And I think what better time than now for the Redskins to do that?
I couldn't agree more, man. I couldn't agree more.
All right, so let's circle back real quick. Let's talk about this Case Keenum deal, because there was another move made. It was a trade during the free agency period by the Redskins for Case Keenum. I'm honestly not too hot on this Case Keenum move at all. Bryce, what are you thinking about this Case Keenum trade?
Well, here's an interesting thing to me. We got rid of Kirk Cousins, and the Minnesota Vikings replaced Case Keenum with Kirk Cousins. And now that we don't have Kirk Cousins, we essentially replace him with Case Keenum. Don't get me wrong, there were quarterbacks in between, but still, I mean, essentially that's what's happened. And look, man, I'm not super against the Case Keenum deal, but just because if you look at our team before the Case Keenum deal, I mean, what did we have? Did we want to go back to Josh Johnson? Did we want to even think about someone on Mark Sanchez's level of quality? You know what I mean? I mean, all we had was Colt, and he's injured. Even he's injured. So there's no telling if he'll be back start of the season. So I think bringing in Case Keenum, man, it's a hell of an insurance plan. And the fact that they're not paying them much money, another great, deal worked out by Eric Schaefer and that crew. I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it, to be honest. And when it first came out, I wasn't too hot, I'll be honest. But when I sat on it and I just thought about it, I really, really like the deal. In hindsight, I really like the deal. Hopefully I'm proven right, and hopefully he doesn't have to play this season, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
Well, I'm going to need some of this hindsight that you're having, because I'm sipping on the wrong thing apparently, because what I'm seeing, and I've tried to let it sit, man, like you said, over time, I was hot initially, and I was like, let me calm down. Let me put on some film. So I'm watching the film, and I know Denver didn't have very much last season. They traded away Demaryius Thomas. Emmanuel Sanders got hurt. But the more I watch Keenum, even with those guys in, he's just not it. There's a reason the Vikings went all the way to the NFC Championship game and let him go, because he is just not it. And I honestly got to say, if Washington doesn't draft a quarterback in the first or second round, I think all hell should break loose. Like, I can't imagine them going into the season with just Case Keenum and Colt McCoy. Something has to be done. I haven't been one much on the hashtag Fire Bruce Allen train, but yeah, if I don't see a QB off the board for Washington on one of the first 2 days of the draft, I'll probably be leading that bandwagon myself. So those are my thoughts.
Okay, and I'm with you, man. Don't get me wrong. I'm not in thinking like a Case Keenum is a great move, but at Hell to the Culture, we are tape guys, and if you throw on that Minnesota Vikings tape, Case Keenum was pretty good, man. I mean, I'm not gonna say he was tearing it up, but he was getting the ball. He was able to get the ball into the hands of the weapons, and Thielen and Diggs both had pretty good seasons under Case Keenum, and So, I mean, look, I'm not parading for the guy, but what I'll say is, man, before we made that trade, think about us going into the draft without Case Keenum. We would literally have nothing. And even if our rookie quarterback would have got hurt, if we were to draft a quarterback and he were to get hurt, then we would still probably be back into Josh Johnson or something worse, searching the scrap heaps for a quarterback. Because Colt McCoy, he broke his leg too, and they're saying he should be ready, but he broke his leg too. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, I'm just like, okay, we got Case Keenum. He's serviceable. We all know he's serviceable. He showed in Minnesota with a tough defense, he can get you almost to the NFC Championship. He can almost win it, but he just didn't have enough. Fine. I mean, I'll take that for insurance. Now, jumping into this conversation of should the Skins draft a quarterback. Excuse me, one moment. Jumping into this conversation, man, I'm in the same boat as you. I would like for us to draft a quarterback, but there was also another option out there that was floated around, and that was the Josh Rosen option. What do you think about that, Rome? Are you in the Josh Rosen camp, or you want to steer clear of him?
Well, I'm in the Josh Rosen camp, and at first I thought that was tainting my feelings about Case Keenum. But I do agree with you on the point that Keenum is a great insurance policy, and the fact that he's a veteran, he's an undrafted guy. And when I did watch the film, the most positive thing I saw about him was that he fights, he plays. He's not the most talented guy, and you can see that, but he's out there playing his butt off. So that is what I liked about Keenum, and I can see that's why they probably went after him. Rosen might lack some of those qualities. A lot of the negative things that you hear about Rosen is that he's not that into it, that he's a little too laid back, and all this kind of stuff. But the way that I'm looking at it is in, I guess I'm just a deep guy. I'm looking at it in a deep way. Is to me, Alex Smith, I don't think we're going to see him again. And if we do see him again, we're not going to see the Alex Smith that we traded for last season. So we need a quarterback of the future. And looking at Josh Rosen's contract, I mean, hit or miss, he's worth a shot, I think. And he, to me, is just as good as any of these guys coming out, with the exception of maybe Kyler Murray or Dwayne Haskins. So it's very debatable on if we should have went after Rosen, but I do like that they went the safe route with Keenum. What were your thoughts on Rosen?
Well, one thing I'll say is I don't think getting Keenum necessarily shuts the door on Rosen, because we got Keenum for so little. It's not a huge investment. But, I mean, I guess the next conversation that's surrounding Rosen, because I do like Rosen. I mean, year one with the Cardinals wasn't great. He showed some flashes. He did flash, don't get me wrong. And those are things you can take, the positives you can take away from his season. He's young, and, he has a lot of room to grow. Now, one thing I would question is just how much he's worth. I don't know. Like, I'm definitely not going to trade a first-round pick for Josh Rosen. Like, you're not going to just flip us for a first-round pick, after this guy did not have a great season just because you want Kyler Murray. No, you're not getting a first-round pick out of me. Now, so that brings it to a bidding war, So we would definitely be competing with other teams. If someone would get thirsty enough to throw a first-round pick for Josh Rosen, then they should go ahead and have him. But it just shouldn't be the Redskins. I think at this point we're lacking a little too much talent. We got to get some more talent. And the first-round pick, we can't be giving that up. So that brings me to my next, question I wanted to throw at you. Because you did say you want the Redskins to get a quarterback in this draft, either round 1 or round 2. Would you be opposed to trading up for a quarterback?
So this is the thing, and it's funny that you mentioned that. I'm taking you guys deep, man. I'm going back to this deep thing again. So I'm still tainted from the last time we traded for a quarterback. I still have nightmares. I wake up in my sleep because it is the last time we traded for a quarterback. So if we do it, I would be fine if it was for Murray. If for some reason the Cardinals don't draft Kyler Murray in the first round or with the first pick, and he's sitting there and we can make a trade with the Jets at 3, I would be fine with that. I would be fine with trading up for Murray. Maybe Haskins, but whoever they trade up for, it has to work. It absolutely has to work. It cannot fail, or these fans might light the whole city on fire, man. Like, we can't trade up for another quarterback and have another RG3 saga. That cannot happen again, especially not this soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. That would not be a good look. And I'll tell you one thing, man. I'm 100% opposed to trading up. I think if anything, we should have learned our lesson from the RG3 deal. And let's not forget, man. Last year's draft, Deron Payne, in my opinion, dropped to us. I mean, Bucks took Vita Vea before him. The year before that, Jonathan Allen dropped to us all the way down to, 20? So, I mean, I just want to stay put at where we at. We're at 15. I want to stay put at 15. And you never know. Dwayne Haskins could possibly fall. You just never know. With all this hype surrounding Kyler Murray, Drew Lock is rising up the boards rapidly. Teams are looking at some of these other quarterbacks around the lower the first round, second round, and these guys are starting to shoot up the board as well. I mean, guys like Will Grier starting to shoot up the board out of nowhere. Daniel Jones from Duke shooting up the board out of nowhere. Although his rise has been pretty steady, but I mean, I'm just saying, you never know what could happen at that 15 spot. And if we just stay put, don't put all our eggs in one basket, I mean, we could end up with one of the best pass rushers in the draft, one of the best linebackers in the draft, or perhaps Dwayne Haskins just happen to drop because all these other teams are sold on guys like Drew Lock or Daniel Jones. So you just really never know when it comes to draft. So I'm in the boat of just staying put whatever we do. I don't want to trade our first round pick.
I like that a lot because with the 15th pick, because I've been thinking the same way, is that we have so many options. You know what I mean? It's like you just said, Haskins could fall, or a quarterback could fall. Maybe they're in love with Lock. But what I thought was interesting was, I don't know if you saw this or not, but Gruden, while Lock was having his pro day, and I know the Redskins had representation there, they had a scout there, but while Lock was having his pro day, Gruden was in West Virginia with Will Grier having lunch. So I thought that was very interesting because Grier to me is a guy that might be able to go in the second round. So if you're sitting at 15, you just have Preston Smith walk. There's a lot of edge rushers that might be popping up around that 15th pick that you could go get, and then maybe you go get a Will Grier or a guy like that in the second round. I was very interested to hear your thoughts on something like that.
Oh yeah, man, I would love that. I got a couple quarterbacks I really like in the second round. Honestly, my favorite guy is Ryan Finley, man, out of NC State. He doesn't have the strongest arm, but man, this guy he's like an Aaron Rodgers in the pocket, man. Like he's something special in the pocket. So I mean, I like a couple guys out there. I mean, you can even go late. You guys like Gardner Minshew, man, tall, big, strong quarterbacks that can sling it. There's some options in this year's draft. I mean, there's some real viable options in this year's draft. There's a lot of quarterbacks, and we can't forget that we do have Jay Gruden. And what is he known for? What is his number one, strongest quality when he's coming into being a head coach? Is his ability to work with quarterbacks. So, I mean, I gotta admit, man, I do like the crop after the second round when it comes to the quarterback class.
Yeah, I agree there, and I think it's very possible that if Washington is not in love with one of the quarterbacks that are supposed to go in the first round, that they don't go QB at 15. I would not be surprised if they got a QB in the second round. But like I said earlier, if they don't get a QB in the first or second round, we're going to have some problems here. They got to make some type of move here. But let's keep it moving, and let's go ahead, man. There's some huge news in the NFL that we got to get to, and it affects the Redskins in a very big way, and it's very obvious. It's the Odell Beckham Jr. trade. So me personally, when I first saw this, I started laughing out loud. What was your reaction to this one?
Man, I loved it, man. I love it. You gotta love the theatrics of the NFL, man. It's just entertainment, and then you gotta love it. You gotta love it. OBJ to the Browns, man, reunited with Jarvis Landry, all with Baker Mayfield slinging the rock. Man, that's like you can't even write that. You can't write that any better. I can't wait, bro. I got big expectations for the Browns. I'm gonna be honest. You put that team on paper, you got an all-star squad, honestly. So I love it, man. I love it. Don't forget they added Kareem Hunt too.
Yeah, man. They for the first time in my life, and I've ragged on the Browns before on this podcast, this is the first time that I've seen that I've expected the Browns to have a winning season going into the season. I've never expected that. So I got a question I'm going to throw out there, man. Do you think that this trade makes them favorites over the Patriots?
Nah. I am not going to go that far, man. The Patriots.
Not yet?
They are. Nah, not quite, man. Not quite. But this trade definitely makes things interesting. And the Ravens got to watch out. You know, like, there's some teams that really got to watch out. But the Patriots, I don't think they're worried about that. Because don't get me wrong, man. Another side of this whole OBJ trade is it does have a lot of boom or bust, you know, quality to it.
Yeah,
I
it
could
does.
also see it going left. I could see it going left. Got a lot of strong personalities in the building. But one thing I'll say about Baker, man, he might just be the guy to be able to pacify all those type of personalities because he's got as big of ego as all those guys, you know. And you got to have that, especially when you're dealing with guys like OBJ and Jarvis Landry. But I love it, man. I love it. I love the pairing. I think it's got a potential to be explosive, man.
Yeah, man. The Browns are either going to be like a glorious fire that they like run into the Olympics, or it's going to be like a straight dumpster fire. But either way, we're all going to be watching because it's going to be some type of fire. But let's circle back to the NFC East, man. And the reason I was laughing out loud when I first heard the trade was because what in the world is Dave Gettleman doing, man? Like, where do you apply to be an NFL GM? Because I could do what he's doing. If you just want me to take apart your team and make the worst possible moves, I mean, sign me up for the job because they're getting paid. All jokes aside, though, like, that was I didn't understand the move at first. They originally said they didn't sign him to trade him, and then they signed him and traded him. So personally, I'm still trying to make sense of this, Bryce. Can you help me out?
Look, man, Gettleman's an idiot, and I think that's all you can say. I mean, the dude literally said a couple weeks before we didn't sign Odell to trade him. That's literally what he said 2 weeks before he trades him. So it's like, wow, man. I kind of feel bad for, like, Giants fans, especially young Giants fans. You know, like, when you lose that type of star power, it can hurt the franchise. But we'll see, man. We'll see. It looks like they chose Eli over Odell. You know, I think they might be in tank mode, man. They might really be in tank mode. And remember we predicted this? You remember we predicted this, Rome, when I said they're going to end up wasting Saquon Barkley's prime years? Remember when I said that? Bro,
Yep.
That looks like it's coming to fruition.
Yep.
Because, I mean, we know how running back can be. Don't get me wrong. There's guys that have transcended it. But, I mean, we know that running backs typically have short shelf lives. And Saquon just put in a hell of a year. So there's one. And this year doesn't look like they're going anywhere, so there's two. So it looks like it's just tough, man. It's tough if you're a fan of that team. But, hey, we've been there millions of times, so I don't got too much sympathy for them.
I do got to point out the fact, man. You hit on this, man, early, man. You guys got to check the tapes, man. Like we said it. They were gonna waste Saquon's years, man, and sure enough, I've been hearing some other big name talking heads will say bring that up, and we were definitely hip to that. So yeah, sorry to all you New York Giants fans. Let's move on to the Eagles, man, while we're doing this NFC East talk. Nick Foles is no longer in Philly. He's now in Jacksonville. So, I mean, Carson Wentz, man, he's got to do it. He's never done it for a whole season. He's never been the one to end it for him. So you think he can make it happen, man? He's got a lot of weight on his shoulders, we'll say.
Yeah, man, I got a couple thoughts on this, man. The Wentz versus Foles thing was big and for me because I personally felt that the only reason the Eagles won the Super Bowl is because of Nick Foles and the dynamic that he brought when it came to the RPO, the run pass option, and the type of things he was doing that defenses just weren't prepared for. It wasn't the same type of offense that was being run with Carson Wentz. It was similar, but it's not the exact. It was just a little different. And now that he's going to Jacksonville, we finally get to see how good, Foles really is. He's had his time this season. He's a Super Bowl MVP. Let's find out how good you are, dude. Here's a pretty stacked defense. Let's show the world how good you are. If not, we can all go back and say that Carson Wentz is really that dude. But they chose Wentz, which they pretty much had to do. Wentz has not proven he can stay healthy in the NFL. He hasn't. So, and that's the thing. That's a big thing. And they don't have Foles' insurance anymore to just take them on a ride. So we'll see if he can stay healthy. I feel like even when he was in this season, it was not the same Carson Wentz I saw the year before. And I think we could both agree on that. Whatever Carson Wentz was there this year, Eagles fans, I'm telling you, he was not the same Carson Wentz as last year. You can lie to yourself and say he was if you'd like, but he was not. So we'll see, man. We'll see how we'll get to really see how good Nick Foles is, and we'll finally get to see if Carson can stay healthy for an entire season, which I wouldn't personally bet on given his history.
I would say with Carson Wentz, even if he stays healthy, he has to answer a huge question, and that's can he finish? And the pressure, the weight that's on his shoulders, even with Nick Foles being gone, is still caused by Nick Foles, because thanks to Nick Foles leading them to a Super Bowl and then doing pretty damn good in this last playoff run, the expectations are going to be high. So even if Wentz is healthy and they do make the playoffs, he can't have any stinkers. Let's not forget, Carson Wentz has not played in a playoff game. It's another level. It's a different atmosphere. It's a little bit more intense. Everyone's really going after it a little bit more because they know that the chance to go to the Super Bowl is on the line. So I mean, Wentz has to answer a big question. He has to answer two big questions: can he stay healthy, and can he get it done in the playoffs? And speaking of another NFC East playoff team, let's move on to the moves that Dallas made. And they signed a guy that I was hoping that Washington would look into, and that's Randall Cobb. Do you think that's a good move?
I mean, it's solid, but to me they lost a bigger piece, and that was Cole Beasley. He just did what they did so perfectly. So I was happy when I saw them lose Cole Beasley, and I think Cole Beasley he's just more for that type of offense than what Randall Cobb will bring. I like Randall Cobb, but he was playing with Aaron Rodgers, and that's just a different type of setup than what Dak Prescott has going on. So Randall Cobb's definitely solid, but it's not a game changer. It's not something that has me worried. So yeah, that's all good to me. I'm just happy it wasn't Golden Tate. You know what I mean? So
show me the money.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm happy Golden Tate's out the East. I'll say that much.
For me, the Cobb move, it kind of scares me a little bit. The Cooper and Cobb, I think that could be a pretty good 1-2 punch, especially with Zeke. They got Jason Witten coming back, and Dak's looking pretty good. And it kind of scares me a little bit on paper, but then I look at their contracts, and they're all up after this season. So enjoy this offseason, Dallas, because by this time next season, I don't know what the team's going to look like. I don't even know what the team's going to look like going into this season because Zeke might hold out. They got to pay way too many people all at the same time. So, Dallas looks like they're in win now mode, but we'll talk a little bit more about them as the offseason progresses because they got some people to pay.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to pay all those guys. It's going to hurt them. And I made a mistake there. I forgot that Golden Tate actually did stay in the East. He did sign with the Giants. I almost forgot about that. He signed with the New York. That's who they replaced Odell with. So I'm happy he's with the Giants and not with the Eagles. You know what I mean? Because they can have Golden Tate over there. They're not going to do much this season.
Yeah, it's
it would be
almost
just my luck if they
forgettable.
wouldn't run. It would be just my luck if they wouldn't win the East, though. Just to be honest with me. That would be something wild. I mean, in all honesty, the way Washington has played, we're gonna keep it real at Hell to the Culture. The way Washington has played against New York, I would not be surprised if we lost up in New York or something crazy because we have not had good games, especially looking at last season when they weren't anything last season, and even the season before that when they were some trash. They still got one on us. So we're gonna keep it real. But let's keep it real and move forward. Let's talk about the Rams, man. Let's talk about the Rams real quick. Do you think their window's still open, man, out there in L.A.? They made a lot of noise this season, made it all the way to the Super Bowl. Our boy Sean McVay, man, do you think he can keep this mojo going, or do you think this was just like a one-off for them? No, I think they've got enough to keep it going, man. They're gonna have to have strong drafts. Hopefully, Todd Gurley comes back 100% because that was kind of weird at the end of last year. But they look like they're in a sort of win now mode as well. I mean, they brought in Clay Matthews, you know what I mean? So that should be interesting, you know. So I like them. I still like them. I don't think their window is closed, but it's really dependent on Jared Goff in my eyes. Is he going to take that next step? Because like we saw in the playoffs, man, he wasn't ready to take that next step, and he don't get me wrong, he balled out, and he got him there. But once he got to the big dance, you know, he couldn't push him over the top. So I think their window is all about the Jared Goff, you know, McVay relationship, and figuring out just if, you know, McVay and Goff really have something special. Do they have one of those classic head coach, coordinator, quarterback relationships with, do they have that Brady-Belichick relationship? And if they're able to, you know, cement that, I think they could be something to deal with for a long time.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that they do, and I'm thinking that we will be seeing a lot of McVay and Goff in the NFC being dominant. But before we get out of here, there was one more thing that I think we missed. The Redskins did re-sign Adrian Peterson, which is obviously great news. So let's touch on that real quick and what that means for Darius Geis. To me, what I think that means for Darius Geis, I think that's great news. They're protecting his future. We got to remember he's coming back from an injury. There was reports he had some infections, so there was a little bit of setbacks. So I think AP coming back, he can be the bell cow for the first half of the season, and then there's no need to rush Geis back at all. Once he's fully healthy, you can let him loose. What were your thoughts on the AP signing?
Oh yeah, man, I loved it. I mean, AP was he was our offensive MVP pretty much last season, and I mean, there's no really disputing that much. And to not bring him back really would have been a crime in my eyes. And like you said, man, like we were kind of talking about earlier with Saquon, man, running backs tend to have shorter shelf lives. So anything you can do to protect your running back, I mean, it's just a great thing. And like we saw with Darius, man, he is coming off an injury. You know, we can give the rock to AP and lean on him as Geis really gets back into the swing and learns the position even better. And you know, he's gonna go. It's gonna be a tough 1-2 punch, man. With Chris Thompson coming out the backfield, we could really be a run dominant team. Seems like we're kind of leaning towards that. So we'll see, man. I'm ready. I'm ready to see it.
Yeah, man. I would definitely have to agree with that, man. So I mean that's gonna be it for today's pod, man. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it as always. Definitely tune in next week or next time we drop another pod, because we're gonna dive into the draft. We're definitely gonna take a deep look at this draft coming up. And I know Bryce does some good work over with Gas, Good Ass Sports over at the site for a lot of draft content. He's been putting it out. You guys definitely should check that out.
Yeah, for sure. We'll break it down. We'll break down our needs, who we think we should draft, and we'll give you guys a good overview of the NFL draft from a Redskins perspective. And so look forward for that, guys. You know, stick with us.
And definitely, as always, we are held to the culture.
Free world. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline, tape up and shape up.